The last time we were here working on this home, something sad happened. But don't worry, I went out, we got another roll of wire. We're going to carry on with our job, get that end bedroom wired up, and then keep going on all the rest of the circuits. We are almost done this project. The wiring job has been a little slower than I anticipated. So this is where we left off. Just pulled this wire. That's as far as we could make it from the breaker box. Let's get this all cleaned up. Now we're going to get another one, go down that hole and all the way over to the next outlet over there. So we're going to feed this wire down here. And then we're going to pull it down here. Keep going. All right, that's plenty. Okay, and this is where we're going up. So we're going to feed it right up there.
That's probably good right there.
Okay. It's good right there?
Yep.
Yeah, so now it's just about stapling it up down here and getting it nice and neat. That's it. Let's go back up atop. You can see when you sheathe a piece of this kind of NM cable, has the vinyl coating and then has a paper sleeve, and then it has another paper sheathing around the ground wire, acting as like a spacer. So you get rid of all the paper in there. And we've had some questions about what I was pulling out of the wire when we stripped them, because people see me yanking these out. It's flame retardant treated paper that they use as part of the manufacturing process. Just get that out of there. Some of these Romex clamps on these boxes, they are rated for 2 wires. I could send both through one hole if I wanted to, but I prefer doing a separate clamp for each wire. I just, personal preference. Now we got to go back down here to this beginning where we pulled from and get this lined up. We're going to follow this. Wow, this Romex paper is harder to work with than the other brand. Now we're just going to staple them in with a cable staple, and we're done. These staples are rated for 2 cables, so I can staple them both together like that. This cable stapler has made wiring so much easier. Hand nailing is cheaper. You don't get the little staples and pop them in. But I enjoy using this, especially crawling around under the house. I have less things to carry with me, and it's quicker to tack these in.
Yours.
That'll work.
Yep.
Oh, that was perfect. Blind drilling. Got a hole right here. Going down underneath. That's where the outlet's gonna be. And I'm getting soaked out here, getting rained on. Trying to get this done. Let's do some loops. The bedroom is done. We got it finished. Wrapped the wires around. Little tricky spot down here that we just tidied up. Basically, there's an outlet underneath that window, and we had to take off a piece of siding to get to it because it's behind that plywood, but got them there. That box is going to be different. We're going to do an old work box later on because of the way that wall's designed. It's too hard to get a metal box in there, and it'll be easier once the wall's finished to use an old work box on that section. With the plywood, it's very strong. It'll work fine. It's raining. I don't know how much longer we're going to work right now, but we're going to switch around and start working on the living room and just try to get done what we can. Now we've been working through this wiring, finishing up the bedroom, finishing up all the odds and ends, ran a bathroom circuit, and finished up some lighting and the smoke alarms that we had to tie together. And now we've hit a huge milestone, and that is we are done with all the 15 and 20 amp circuits. Well, I shouldn't say all. I do have one outlet down here in the hallway that I'm going to tie into its own circuit. I'm not going to run that quite yet, but it's going to come just in a couple minutes. But basically, the whole house is wired. Now we're going to be moving on to the big gauge. So I'm going to be starting with this 10 gauge wire for the water heater, which is going to be inside this closet right here. This is going to be my power box, the junction box for the water heater. And this is going to be a really easy run. Just loop it right up to the panel. Look at the panel, it's right there. I tried keeping the big appliances close to the panel. That means less wire, less cost. So,
because wire is super expensive.
So this one you will have to unroll, but it's tiny. All right. So we just got our wire fished through, coming up to the panel, and let me just decide. I want this to be inside this. I left a slot for it, but all these wires are in my way, so I'm gonna have to redo these. So temporarily, let's get all this out of here. Just so I can squeeze this guy back. Do you like that? Mm-hmm. There. Now I gotta try to remember how I had these. Something like that. I actually shouldn't be so strict on this right now because I'm gonna have another one in there. Let's leave that. I'm gonna put another one in with this one, and that's gonna be for that thing. So let's leave that. Now there is a slot big enough for this wire to go through, but because I wasn't thinking, I already knocked out a hole for this, so I'm going to use the hole instead. And typically I would use one of these kind of big connectors in there, but I also brought these over with me, these black plastic ones, and I think just for cosmetics, because this is black, I'm going to put that in there. And basically now we can just slide that in there. Oops, sorry. And that'll hold it. That's all it needs. Doesn't that just feel better because it's all black plastic? I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to get these in. Like right here, I have two knockouts on the other side I'm going to be doing. Well, it can be hard when you have these stacked behind each other because the screws and everything hit into each other. So these black things, they're going to work in this situation. And on this side, man, this stuff is rough to work with, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Boom. Does that make you sad?
Yeah.
Can I get my ripper stripper? Let's see if that'll fit over this fat wire. Easy.
It's like butter.
You know, I should wire all the outlets in the house with this 10 gauge just to be safe. You know what? That feels a little bit long even. I probably just cut that wire a little too long. Let me send a little bit more into the box just to take up some slack. It won't hurt having it in the box. And now we can straighten it up. Perfect. That's good.
I'm gonna throw one more in there.
And if you want it.
Good. There it is.
That's it. Evie's been getting all these wires labeled up properly with a Sharpie on each wire so we know exactly what they are. You might notice that they're just wildly spilling out of the box because we don't have any circuit breakers to put in the box. That's why we're waiting on that. For now, just getting them run to where they need to be. Water heater in. Don't worry about it being low. That's where I want it. Now, wiring might not seem like the most exciting part of the home renovation, but this is a huge step and we're almost done. We only have 2 more circuits I think I have to run. Let's start with the dryer. I'm going to be using this heavy duty 8-3 cable for the dryer. Total overkill. I know most of the time you could use a 10 gauge. I'm using 8 gauge because it saves me money in a weird way. I already got my hole with my wire guard in place. So let's just send this down. This is easy again, look at it. Dryer, panel, right there. A really short run, less wire. That's what I like, keeping everything simple. A lot of people want to know, well, a couple people want to know why our washer and dryer are switched. I explained that before. But this is all why, because this puts the dryer on the outside wall where I can vent it easily. It puts it right in line with the panel so I can run wire inexpensively. And it's going to put the water hookups for the washing machine directly in line with the water heater. So I can just drop it down, over and up, super close. Everything is strategically located for ease of installation and practicality. Venting, wiring, plumbing, everything.
And the weight.
Yeah, goes right over the chassis, which is right here. We got the weight on the steel frame. That way it's not like sagging through the floor or shaking the house apart. Yeah, we are definitely going to reverse the door so that it swings this way, this way. It'll make sense. But check this out. Can you see these lines on the floor? These are the floor joists. Now picture the washing machine is sitting here with 4 feet right over the joists. All right, I'm going to get the dryer plug wire done. And luckily for me, these little plastic wire clamp, they are rated for 8-3 wire, well, cable. So I'm going to use these also for this application. So let me get these snapped in. It's going to be a little hard explaining what I'm doing, but I'm building a raceway, kind of, I guess, a walk, not a raceway, it's a, let me just figure out a way to get this in here. I'm making a spot for the wires to run because I'm running some big wires and I'm running out of room. I have some wires here, I have some wires here, and I don't want these all together. So I'm gonna put some wood up here. I can live with that. All right, screws and drill. It'll make sense in a moment, but there's a lot of work that goes into this. A lot of thinking. There we go. So we got this piece of wood up. We got some more right there. 2 of those were there as blocking, and I added 2 more on the ends. Now I'm going to put a piece of 2x4 going right across the bottom of them. Hard to squeeze in here. Let me see how that's gonna... I hope this will fit on top of this. Oh no. Come. I mean, it's not holding it up, that's the problem. It's getting it in with the outriggers in the way. I got it. Oh, there it goes. And give me a screw. I'm going to come down the other end and try to make sure it's... This is going to be good. This will put the wires away from the other wires, but in a safe spot. Okay. Whew. That's done. So now, you see we have a piece of wood flat that's not too close to the floor in case somebody screws something through the floor. And we can run our cable right on the bottom of it, staple it here. It'll be perfect. It's going. We got it over. Guess I'll send it up through the twilight zone. I think I want it back here more. I could regret that, but I want it back here because it's going to staple to this. And then we'll cross over and just going to shove it through that thing. Now this one is actually going to be pretty low. It's going to be one of these bottom slots, so we don't have to waste too much wire. That's probably plenty. What do we got here? Dryer, that's the bottom one. So I mean, yeah, we got already way more than we need. This is what I hate about these kind of connectors that hold the wires. I pulled too much and I can't pull it back down. Not without a struggle. Guys, I'm getting nervous because you know how quick these wire spools run out. And I still got a long ways to go to the range. Let's see if we can handle this. Now these I have to hand staple because the wire is too fat for my cable stapler. Not too tight, just get them in. There it is. Done. So right now, we're going down. This is the range box right here. We're going down, but we're gonna go basically over and then down that same board I put in.
Alright, that's pretty much all I can do. Okay. There's plenty, Doug.
Wow.
It goes right up to the top.
So somehow, through the power of math and planning, we had enough wire to make it here. And we had enough wire to finish our entire house. We're getting a little bit of rain right now. It's thundering. It's so beautiful out. Anyway, lost my train of thought. So we have more than we need, but only by a couple feet, and that is fine. And that is the reason why I also use this wire for the dryer plug. Even though the dryer plug I could have done an 8-3, I had to run a range wire, and I had to buy it by the spool. You know, I could buy it per foot, but it's usually more money, so I wanted to buy a roll of it. And the roll size I needed to get from the kitchen to the box would have just enough left over to do the dryer, so I didn't have to buy any extra wire. I would have had to buy all that anyway just to do that range. So that's why I used a heavier gauge wire on the dryer, which is totally fine. All you got to do is, for the dryer, I can use the heavier wire, but as long as it's got the 30 amp plug and the 30 amp breaker, it doesn't matter if the wire is oversized. Totally safe. So now I can get this put up into the breaker box. Well, guys, this was a lot of work over the last couple days. Mm-hmm. And we wired an entire home. That is pretty impressive, I think.
Yeah.
Because while I've wired homes before, I've always done it piece by piece. We're renovators, you know? So I'll do one room here, one room there. This is the first time I've had to do everything all at once. It made it a lot easier, but there was a lot to think about. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of crawling under the house. That was the hard part. Last couple of days have been rainy, which has slowed us down a little bit, but we're trying to work through it.
At least that makes it not as hot.
Yeah. Now we are 100% done with the wiring phase as far as running wires go. We still obviously will have to go through and hook up all the switches and receptacles and all that stuff. And that comes after the walls are finished. So we're going to do our plumbing, we're going to do our insulation, then we're going to do our walls, and then that comes. So there'll be like a phase 2 of electric later on, much later on. But I'm just so happy with how this came out. We tidied up the electric panel. The panel looks so good, my best work yet. It's clean. I used my wire stackers to run them up the sides, kept them really organized. I love that new box layout where the Romex gets captured in those quick grip, is that what it's called? Quick something?
Something like that.
That worked out perfectly. We even just today, before ending this, ran, wherever it is, an extra circuit for the outdoor outlets. We didn't forget. We've been not exactly sure of where they should be, and we didn't know what to do with them because I didn't know, I wanted them kind of in the wall, but our walls are really thin, and a lot of boxes aren't thin enough. And we had to make sure whatever we use isn't going to leak water into our house, because we don't have sheathing and house wrap and all this stuff. All we have is aluminum siding and inside our home. Mm-hmm. So whatever we're using, we have to make sure it's not going to leak. And I think we got a good plan on that. So we got the wires run. We have smoke alarms, lights, all the switches, outlets in all rooms. Yeah, we did 20 amp in the kitchen, 20 amp in the bathroom, 20 amp in the laundry. We got our appliances set up.
Yeah.
If you don't see us running a wire, it's because we're not running that thing, aka like dishwasher. We're just not going to do it. We're building this like a camp. Let's call this the camp. It's not going to have like all the luxuries. It's going to be kind of a bare bones home, but it's going to be well done. It's going to be cozy. It's going to have a little kitchen that's functional, but it's not going to have all the extras. We're not going to do garbage disposal and dishwasher and whatever else gets put in there.
Yeah, we've never even used a dishwasher.
Yeah.
And it's never been a problem ever selling or anything like that.
The way we're running the wires from that panel in that little like booth that I made it's actually going to be really easy to add on in the future if you wanted to though, because you could just take off that little panel and then you have access to all those wires going down. You could easily add circuits later in the future. Drop them down, run them to where you want, retrofit it in, not a problem. We like to make things that are accessible and easy to repair. That's one of the reasons why we don't like spray foam. A lot of people say, hey, why don't you spray foam the mobile home? That would be awesome. It would give us excellent R value, but spray foam is so permanent, it glues everything together, and if you wanted to run a wire or pull off a piece of siding, you can't. Everything's stuck. Mm-hmm. So we try to think about that when we build, is like, how repairable is this? How easy is it to work with in the future?
Another thing we're going to be doing is painting the ceiling really soon.
That might be the next step. We're going to run out, buy a bucket of paint, or 4, and get it done.
Yep.
So stay tuned. We got some excellent, awesome things loaded in the bus that we can't wait to show you. We're going to pull those in soon. But that's all we have for now. So thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.
Bye.